Hello, it's me, Michael Tic Tac, and well, ladies and gentlemen, after a somewhat longer than expected break from YouTube, I'm back. And with the recent release of Pokemon Legends EA, you just know that I had to play through this game as my return to YouTube. So join me as I make my way through Lumiose City, doing everything there is to do, including climbing through the ZA battle ranks, getting all the way up to A rank, obliterating all the rogue and mega evolved Pokemon, causing havoc in the city, and then we wrap things up by casually saving the world. So normally I'm a Nuzlocke type of guy, but Legends EA has a completely new battle system that is not turn-based, so everything plays out in real time, not making it the ideal game for Nuzlocking. But yeah, I did it anyway. Additional rules are on the screen now, so let's not waste any more time and start one of the funnest runs I've had in years. We arrive at Lumiose City on a train, and it's not long until we meet up with Tory, and she wants to show us around the city. And you're about my height. We'll look nice standing side by side. Wait, hold up. Is this what I think it is? I spent 60 seconds in this Paris clone city, also known as the City of Love, and we already have a girlfriend? Man, I've still got it. While being distracted, a Pancham then decides it wants to steal my bag, so we chase a little fella through some alleyways, and we come across two random trainers who want to battle for it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as you've probably guessed, it's time to pick our starter for the run. And I decided to probably go with the least popular of the three of them, Chikorita, simply because I've used the other two multiple times, but I've never ever used a Chikorita in my life, so yeah, welcome to the team, Yoda. Our first battle goes well. After tail whipping and tackling the panda a few times, we secure our first victory in the run. As soon as the battle ends, the sun sets, becoming nighttime, and we're within a battle zone, meaning any people we run into in here will want to throw hands. Well, they're Pokemon, not the actual people. Except this guy. This guy looks like he's ready to fight. Anyway, we beat up a waitress and her two Pokemon before we're cornered by some much tougher looking opponents. But this Floette is kind of busted in this game, and she shoots a Kamehameha straight into the sky, which then leads to the trainers retreating. Finally, we make it out of the zone and to the hotel, where we can meet the tallest guy I've ever seen, AZ. He gives us our key to the room, and to be honest, it ain't too shabby at all. We go to rest, but you wouldn't believe it, Tawny wants to talk, and she wants to go to the roof as well. Okay, this is escalating way faster than even I could have expected. And I got friend-zoned. Great. The next morning, we register for the ZA Battle Tournament, we join Team MZ, get a new outfit, and then we learn how to roll. Outside, Tawny wants to battle, and this one's a reasonably free fight, as Yoda can leafage the Totodile a few times, and because her Tepig doesn't have any fire moves, we can just take care of him also because of the level difference. We learn about the wild zones, then we catch a bunch of Pokemon to progress the story, before meeting up with Mabel. And yeah, she has a bit of a temper. She gives us some tasks that we can complete, and by completing them, we get some sweet rewards like TMs and EXP candies, which make it worth it. Right, time to actually get our first partner for Yoda. And I know what you've all been thinking. How do you decide which Pokemon to pick? Well, I don't. This free random name generator wheel thing on Google will do that for me. So, welcome to the team, Marie. We head to the hotel room, and our Rotom phone notifies us of our first ranked battle against Zach. And just look at this guy's smug face. I can't wait to destroy him. The sky gets dark and the battle zone is activated, meaning we can now take on trainers, and the plan here is to earn enough points to get a challenger ticket. With a challenger ticket, we can then have a ranked battle, which is probably the equivalent of a gym leader in other Pokemon games. So after embarrassing a few more trainers, we obtain the ticket and we can now make our way to Zach. Zach's fought a lot in promotion matches, he has a lot of experience, but not at winning. Right. Time to give this guy another L. Thor starts off and we can 1v1 his Slowpoke by Thunder Waving it and then going for multiple Thunder Shocks. It's defeated and he brings in Pidgey, but we leave in Thor, who takes a tackle and a gust, leaving him in the red, but then does land a Thunder Shock on the bird. I switch in Yoda, who can go all out offense with a disarming voice, then a tail whip to drop Pidgey's defense, before a tackle and a leafage to get the KO. Last is Pikachu, and we circle through the same moves, and when we do get low, the Citrus Berry I'm holding heals us back up, keeping us healthy long enough to take out the electric rodent, defeating Zach and getting our sweet promotion to rank Y. The next day we learn about mega crystals and that they can be found all over the city, which when we smash will give us shards that can be used to obtain mega stones later in the game. Then we follow Tory on the rooftops, who can lead us to the next wild zone. So once again we spin the wheel and it lands on a magic carp. Look, I love Gyarados as much as the next guy, but this fish is pretty much useless until level 20. Tory then continues to show us around and we make a quick stop for coffee, and I gotta tell you, the staff here look oddly familiar. Surely they're not affiliated with Team Flare at all. After the coffee break, we go to Wild Zone 3, although we do beat up this wannabe karate girls fighting Pokemon first. Now, normally I would just use the wheel as before, but yeah, this happened. Yes, this is a shiny Litleo, so we can catch our baby lioness and call her Nala. Continuing with the main story, we meet up with Emma, who looks about my age, but is also the only detective in all of Lumiose City, and she's sleeping at her desk. We wake her up, and she asks if we can help her out with some detective work, and for some reason we agree to do so. So we defeat a Sableye and collect the old lady's ring back, trade a Pikachu for a Heracross. Not quite sure how this is detective work, but anyway. And then finally we solve the case of the Alpha Baneri. We return to Emma, she wants to have a fight, so we beat up her Mareep, and then she flexes, showing off her Mega Ampharos, which looks glorious. Finally we go to Wild Zone 5, which we can land a Pidgey, so Falcon joins the squad. After a long day, we get a notification from Rotom telling us about our next promotional match against Yvonne. But before we can take her on, we need a challenger's ticket. So once the sun sets, we enter the battle zone, clearing through any trainers we come across until we have enough points to get that promotional ticket match. Oh yeah, and Yoda does evolve into a Bayleaf and Thor into a Flaffy, adding some much needed firepower to the team. Okay, so it's about time we take an Yvonne and get that promotion. Yoda's in charge, and we rinse and repeat with Giga Drains, Leech Seeds and Razor Leaves on their Spritzy, which eventually does take it out. Next is Swirlex, and the plan doesn't change as we go for the same strategy, which can eliminate the fairy while staying relatively healthy. Her last Pokemon is a Vivillon, and if you've seen The Lion King, you know that Simba likes to eat bugs, so I thought Nala might like them also. So she comes in and sets up with a workup, and then she chomps on the bug with a Fire Fang, followed by a Thunder Fang, finishing off Yvonne's ace. And with that win, we get promoted to rank X. We're back at the hotel, and for some reason, one of our teammates, Lyda, really wants Naveen to battle me. But this really was a waste of time, as between Nala, Yoda and Falcon, I can switch between them and get a comfortable win. Straight after the fight, Rotom then lets us know of my next opponent, revealing it is some young boy named Zavi. After the previous ranked match with Yvonne, new wild zones become available, so I take this opportunity to get some more team members, starting with a Meditite in Zone 6. I also spent some time getting Trident to level 20, which means we've now got a menacing Gyarados in the team, which is kinda broken this early in the game. Okay, there is a small problem here. Turns out that I'm stupid and I forgot to record the battle with Zavi. And because of the autosave system in the game, there was no way that I could go back and redo this battle for the video. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, bye. After triple checking that I hit the record button, I start the game and we begin the day with a pretty simple battle against Lyda. Some smart switches between Yoda, Nala and Thor can ensure we get the victory with no real hassle. This is also where we learn about our next victim in the Battle Royale, a humble restaurant owner, Rintaro. Before I take him on, I decided to do some side quests to kill some time, which included getting all 3 Kalos starters, Chespin, Fennekin and of course Froakie. Then we had another mission that lets us choose between our 3 Kanto starters, so I grabbed a Charmander, and then finally there was another quest near Zone 1, which we can get our hands on a free shiny Mareep. But my one had a horrible nature, so I decided to keep Thor. Right, after all that out of the way, we set our attention to the promotion match against Rintaro, so back to the battle zone we go, and once again we start clearing through the trainers, gaining those points. After some time we get a challenger's ticket, and we can head up to the restaurant where Rintaro is waiting for us. He starts off with a Simisage, which is not the best matchup for Trident, but Ice Fangs are super effective, and because we are flying type, grass moves only deal neutral damage. Now it's Simipour, so Yoda is the obvious switch in here, and he absolutely bullies this water monkey in this fight. I honestly almost felt sorry for it. Expecting Simisear next in, I have Trident already out to fight it. It protects against my first waterfall, but we can take a couple of its hits before going for our second waterfall, which lands and then washes away the monkey. Another win means we get another rank promotion, this time becoming rank V. We exit the restaurant and we run into a Zygarde for the first time who clearly wants us to follow him. So we chase down the dog. Well, he's technically a dragon, I think, actually. And he leads us to a wild Absol that doesn't look very well. AZ has followed us with his Lucario, who then jumps onto the roof to give us a Mega Ring, which conveniently is the perfect timing as Absol Mega evolves into our first Rogue Mega Evolution battle. So in this fight, we need to attack the Absol while dodging his attacks and collect these Mega Orbs that he drops. Once we have enough, we can Mega Evolve our Lucario and start hitting the Absol with some big damage. We just rinse and repeat this a few times and we have now calmed down the Absol while getting an Absolite, and we even get to keep the Absol, giving us our first Pokemon that can Mega Evolve. The next day, Tawny hears about the Rogue Mega Evolve Pokemon and now she wants a piece of me and my Absol. So, as you wish, Tawny. I start off strong, Mega Evolving Absol, and I can defeat a Crocodile by trading blows with it a few times. In comes in Pignite, and we can get off one Night Slash before a power-up punch brings us into the yellow, forcing me to bring in Triton. A single Waterfall from Gyarados absolutely obliterates her Emboar, but things get dicey as she brings in her Manectric, who can Mega Evolve. Triton makes his escape, dodging the Spark, but Yoda takes a Fire Fang and then a Bite before landing a Leech Seed. Yoda then gets dangerously low, so it's time for Thor to come in, but even he is taken to the brink of death, so I make another switch, bringing in Charmeleon, who can get a huge Fire Fang, delivering the final blow on the Manectric. Okay, that was a lot closer than it needed to be. Next on the agenda is the Quasatico building, I think it's pronounced, as we're looking for Vinny, and oh cute, some Dedenne have come to greet us. Okay, nope, they want to fight. Normally I'd feel bad about this, but they started it. Vinny comes out and he's impressed about how I dealt with a Mega Absol. In fact, he was so impressed that he gives us a promotion match, and if we win it, we go all the way up to F rank. Okay, talk about skipping the queue here, but I'm not complaining. Before we take on Vinny, we do have some more zones available to us, so we catch some more Pokemon, starting with a Floette in Wild Zone 7. Drillball is a decent Pokemon, and I'm happy to get him in my Wild Area 8 encounter. Then we snag ourselves a Kadabra in Wild Zone 8, which could be handy. Finally, it's a Slowpoke from Wild Area Zone 10, who is the lucky winner that gets to join our team. Happy with the squad so far, it's time to head to the Battle Zone and start grinding points to get that Challenger's ticket. After 8 wins, we finally get 6,000 points, which is enough to earn a ticket to take on Vinny. We head to the courtyard where Vinny is waiting, and we can start the battle. Vinny starts with a Houndoom, so I switch out Thor and bring in Triton, who can Waterfall the dog back to its Pokeball. Next is Sharpedo, so Yoda enters the battlefield, taking it out, but also slowly losing health as I'm stupid enough to leave him in the whirlpool that had formed. Now it's Canari, and yeah, this Pokemon does seem out of place, so I'll let Falcon get some action, although this was a closer fight than it should have been. Last is his Ace Drampa, who gets a Mega Evolution and looks pretty epic. I switch an Absol, and for some reason I did not Mega Evolve here, as this would have helped. We get off a Night Slash, but we're brought too low to stay in, so I switch in Charmeleon and go for a Dragon Breath, but the Drampa flinches us with Twister, meaning we don't get the hits off. Next is Thor, and the same thing happens as I can't get off my Dazzling Gleam as I keep getting flinched from the Twister. Thor is then brought down to a Slither, so Triton comes back in and can match the power of the Drampa, going for a big Ice Fang. Then we can land a quick Claw Crunch, followed by a Waterfall, and then finally finish it off with another Ice Fang. This was the first battle where I truly felt the power that Gyarados has in this game. With the win secured, Vinny keeps his promise, and we get a massive promotion all the way to F rank, which feels like I'm cheating, to be honest. Also, now we can purchase certain Mega Stones with the shards we've been collecting, so I get one for Gyarados, and yeah, now we have a Mega Gyarados in the team. With our promotion to F rank, we have now been tasked to handle even more rogue Pokemon that are putting the city at risk. The 3 we have to deal with is a Mega Slowbro with Tawny, then it's a Mega Camerupt with Lidar, and then finally we have a Mega Victory Bell with Naveen. Also, straight after our strategy meeting, AZ hands over a Meganium Knight, which means Yoda gets to Mega Evolve for the first time. Well, actually first I have to evolve him into a regular Meganium, so let's do that first. And wouldn't you know it, just in time for the Mega Slowbro battle. This was actually a fairly straightforward fight thanks to Giga Drain, as Yoda was able to stay healthy throughout the fight, giving us an easy win and a Slowbro Knight, which could come in handy. Next on the list is the Camerupt, but before we can calm him down, Tarragon wants to test our strength in a battle, and he brings in a Tynamo and a Numel. not exactly the best Pokemon to use to see how strong someone is in my opinion. Anyway, we head up the rooftop and we can see the Camerupt just chilling, so we approach the moving volcano and sure enough, it loses its cool and it Mega Evolves. Trident takes charge here and can chip away at this behemoth, and with his custom moveset of Waterfall, Water Gun and Bulldoze, we have 3 super effective moves that deal massive damage when Mega Evolve. After a short time, Trident delivers the last Waterfall, ending the Camerupt's rampage. Our last Mega Evolve Pokemon that needs to be dealt with is Victory Bell, and Yoda being quad weak to Poison when Mega Evolve, and Trident being weak to Grass type when Mega Evolve, I opted to give Absol the nod as the main man for this fight. Falco starts and slowly chips away at the overgrown plant until we've built our Mega Gauge, and then from here I swap in Absol and Mega Evolve him to start dealing damage. Unfortunately, I got a bit too greedy, and a Vine Whip from Victory Bell gets the kill on Absol, giving us our first death of the run. Charmeleon comes in and starts hitting the giant plant with some fire moves, but once he gets into the yellow for health, I bring him back in and I throw out Thor, who can hit it with some ice punches. Once I had my Mega Gauge full, I decided to bring Trident in and Mega Evolve to start hitting it with Ice Fangs. This ends up being a pretty effective strategy as you can finish off this monstrosity. We return to the hotel only to find out that Zygarde has been following me, and apparently Zygarde wants to test our strength in battle, so we give it what he wants. But Triton is just too strong, making quick work of the Dragon Dog. And what does he give me upon defeating him? A pebble. My face says it all. Right after the battle, a strange old guy turns up named L, who seems to be close with Zygarde, telling me that I am the chosen one or something like that. Back at the hotel, the gang is all there and I learn about my next promotion match against Canari, and Naveen seems a little too excited about me taking on his favourite streamer. Nevertheless, he agrees to help me out if we can beat him in a battle, so we embarrass him in front of everyone with a dominating win. He then tells us that we need to participate in a live fan quiz meetup. But first, we need a challenger's ticket and we need to acquire 32,000 points. So yeah, this one was a bit of a grind. With our ticket in hand, we arrive at the fan meetup and we are greeted by a hologram of Canari, who has 3 simple yes or no questions we need to answer. To be honest, I just followed this big fella the entire time as he is some kind of super fan, and I got all the questions right by doing this. Next, we get a Super Lumiose Galette from the cafe here, as it's her Electros's favourite food. And then finally, we go head to head with the super fan here, but Doug deals with his electric Pokemon with absolute ease. Then with the help of Naveen in my ear, we can answer the last question, which was who gave her first laptop, with the answer being her grandpa. We head to the location and we meet up with Tarragon again, who will tell us where to find Canari if we can beat him in a battle. And well, we have Yoda, who can Mega Evolve and just start rampaging through his team with Giga Drains and Leaf Blades. He does have a Mega Extra Deal, which looks amazing, but even that's not enough to stop Yoda. After the battle, there's a huge plot twist, as it turns out that this old guy was the one who controls the hologram, which is kinda weird if you ask me. But that's none of my business. The time has finally come to take on Canari, so we find her in her room streaming, and we force her out so we can embarrass her in front of all of her fans watching. Yoda is in control, and I'm not playing around, Mega Evolving off the rip, and then one-shotting her Heliolisk with a single Leaf Blade. Ampharos is certainly bulkier, but we have too much sustainability with Giga Drains and Leech Seeds, so we can outlast the Ampharos and take it out quite safely. Sunfisk is part ground type, so yeah, this was never gonna end well for it, although it did not get one-shotted at least. Last is her ace Electros, who does Mega Evolve, making him a bit of a menace, but Yoda is truly the GOAT here, and Giga Drains and Leaf Blades from our starter can eliminate her final Pokemon, getting another win under our belt and a promotion all the way to rank E. Back to the hotel we go, and it's time for another strategy meeting as there are 3 more rogue Pokemon we need to deal with. We got Mega Beedrill, then we have a Mega Hawlucha, and then finally there's a Mega Banette. Also, Tawny now shows us how to use Rotom to do an extra hop, allowing us to travel across the rooftops quicker, which is handy. Now before we take on the Mega Beedrill, I do purchase a Mega Stone for Pidgeot, as Falco could be great for Mega Beedrill and even Hawlucha. I also trade over my Kadabra I caught earlier area to get ourselves one of my favourite Pokemon, Alakazam. Okay, that's enough sidetracking, let's take on the giant bug. Falco starts off and does well with wing attacks and air slashes and aerial aces. And then out of nowhere, it gets obliterated by the Beedrill, leaving him on just 3 HP. Thankfully we can get him out of there quickly, and Charizard can come in and finish off the bug with some flamethrowers and fire blasts. Mega Halucha is next, and this time I use Gyarados, completely forgetting about being part dark type when he Mega Evolves. Thankfully, Trident is just too strong with Ice Fangs, Bounces and Waterfalls, and we can prevail and defeat the Fighting Bird. Last is the Mega Banette, and this time it's Yoda's time to shine, who can deal with this angry ghost reasonably well while staying healthy throughout the fight. We return to the hotel and we learn about Ivor, who is our next opponent in the ranked battle for the D rank promotion. Wasting no time, we collect our challenges ticket straight away, and then we head to Ivor's dojo to take him on. Once we arrive, we're greeted by Jose, who is a girl that we humbled all the way back at the beginning of the game, and she wants a rematch, but it's nothing my Slowbro and Alakazam can't handle. Ivor makes his way back, and unfortunately we can't take him on, as he literally smashes his phone every time he tries to touch it, and he needs his sister to handle it. Yeah, that just sounds like a ridiculous excuse, mate. And of course, his sister is missing and we need to find her, otherwise he can't use the phone without breaking it. Not quite convinced about the plot for this one, but whatever. Let's find your sister. So we go to Detective Emma and we follow the clues we find, and then for some reason we're battling Canari again for a second time, but Yoda is still a beast, so that's no problem. Then we freeze this fountain with an ice beam, which allows us to head underground until we can finally locate Gwynn, but just like every other person in this game, they refuse to have a normal conversation with you until you beat them in a Pokemon battle. Thankfully, Mega Gyarados is the perfect Pokemon for this fight, as he can crunch his way through her team, including the new and improved Mega Chandelure. Now that was a bit of an adventure, but it was all worth it, as now we can take on Ivor. He leads with Heracross, who almost one-shots my Charizard with a Rock Blast, but thankfully it doesn't, and an Air Slash one-shots the Fighting Bug. No longer wanting to take any risks, in comes Yoda, and we Mega Evolve, giving him the Fairy typing, and then we Dazzling Gleam the Medicham into the next dimension. My champ then comes in, only to get Giga Drain, followed up by Dazzling Gleam to end its life. Last is his Phalanx, who does get a cool new Mega Evolution, but I don't care, and one more Dazzling Gleam finishes it off, giving us the win and the promotion to rank D. We go back to the hotel to enjoy some croissant curry, which I genuinely want to try one day, and then we get some rest. The next day, Tory is missing, and we find out that somehow she's gotten herself into trouble with the Rust Syndicate, which is pretty much like the Pokemon Mafia in Lumiose City. So as I am the main character and hero of this game, I have to go save her. Before I do, we check out some of the new wild zones to catch some Pokemon, and in Zone 14, we get a Larion, which is a decent catch. Oh, and by the way, this happened when checking out one of the other new zones. Yep, Falco just died. Some of these zones are brutal. We head towards the Rust Syndicate base, and we have to battle against these grunts outside. Turns out Doug is the perfect Pokemon here, as he can eliminate both the Garbodor and the Larion in record time. Then out comes Mr. Philippe, who kinda looks like Kingpin from Marvel, only with spikes coming out of his beard for some reason. Anyway, he wants to throw hands, so I lead with Doug again, but as soon as I saw a Steelix, I bring in Charizard, who can Mega Evolve into Charizard Y, which is my personal favourite of the two evolutions, and we melt the Steelix into a puddle with a Fire Blast. Scizor is next in, and we burn this metal bug into a crisp. Finally, it's his Skarmory, and this thing actually gets a Mega Evolution that looks very clean, but Charizard is too strong and Fire Blasted out of existence. We are escorted into the gang's hideout, and we can meet the true mastermind of all of this, Corbo. He basically agrees to clear all of Tani's interest that she's accrued, which is 900,000 Pokédollars by the way, as long as we help him with some tasks, so we make a deal and we head back to the hotel. Before we can start working on Corbo's missions, there are once again a bunch of outbreaks of rogue Mega Pokemon that need to be dealt with first. This time we have a Mega Barbarkle, a Mega Morwile, and then finally a Mega Ampharos, all needing to be calmed down. Mega Barbarkle is the first one we tackle, and as you probably expected, Yoda makes a mockery of this fight as both grass and fairy moves are super effective against it. Next up is Mega Morwell, and this is Charizard's time to shine as he can Mega Evolve, and with the help of Emboar, we absolutely decimate this thing. Last is Mega Ampharos, but before we can take on this electric dragon, Gwynn decides that she wants to have a battle first, but we defeat her pretty easily, and then we head up to the rooftop for the main event. Although calling Mega Ampharos the main event is a bit of a stretch, as Doug can Mega Evolve here and absolutely destroy this thing with earthquakes and drill runs. Now that we've dealt with a rogue Mega Evolved Pokemon, we can focus on Tawny's debt with Corbo and start doing some work for him. Our first task has us helping this guy move into his new rental property by clearing out the gangers that have taken over. Next we head to the sewers, and he wants us to clear out a bunch of Mega Crystal shards as it could potentially cause blockages for the city. Finally, the last thing he asks us to do is to help out these kids that are being harassed by these two pretentious adults, and after a couple of simple Pokemon battles, we have completed the final job for Corbo. We then hear some commotion going on nearby, so we investigate the situation and we can see a crowd of people getting rowdy with Tawny and the CEO of Quasiteco. I'm never going to say that name right, by the way. I'm just going to call it the CEO of Q, pretty much blaming her for the rise of wild Pokemon entering the city. Corbo then tells Tawny to get the CEO of Q away from the crowd, and then we basically double up on this guy's Pokemon, making him look like a fool. The next day we're summoned by Corbo, and he's a man of his word, clearing all the interest, meaning only 100,000 Pokédollars is now owed. But we're not done with him yet, as our Rotom phone notifies us while with him that he is our next opponent for our promotion match. So we wait until night to activate the battle zone, get our ticket, and then head back to his office to take him on. I lead with Adonis, and he brings in his Arbok, so I Mega Evolve Aggron, and then land a Bulldoze, followed by a Rock Slide, crushing his Snake with ease. Next in is his Gyarados, and we trade blows with this monster, finally taking it out with some Rock Slides, but we are also left pretty low on health. Roserade comes in, and this thing can tank a Fire Blast from my Charizard, but it falls to a Flamethrower, although he does leave him on pretty low health as well. Last is his Mega Scolipede, and I bring in my own Gyarados, who does good damage with a bounce, but a Gunk Shot hurts us back. Now Nala comes in for some action, and gets Earthquaked by the Scolipede, while a Flamethrower leaves it low on health. Doug comes in to finish the job, but it protects against my Earthquake at the right time, and then hits us back with its own Earthquake, sending Doug to an early grave. Not gonna lie, I was absolutely fuming at that death. Daisy then does come in and finishes off the Scolipede with a Surf, but it was a bittersweet victory. On the plus side, we are now promoted to rank C and ever closer to becoming the best trainer in Lumiose City. Later that night, Corbo comes to the hotel we're staying at and asks for a room to spend the night. The next day he comes downstairs, pays for his room, and then gives Tawny a very generous tip. Mr. Philippe then makes an appearance to collect the debt from Tawny, and she can pay it off with the tip she just received. Turns out, he ain't such a bad guy after all, I guess. No, actually scratch that. He still put a teenager in debt for 1,000,000 Pokédollars, so I'm not convinced. The next day we're all chilling together, having a coffee, and a lady cosplaying in a maid outfit, Labane, I don't know. Anyway, she's from the Society of Battle Connoisseurs, which is known as the SBC, and she's invited Tawny and myself to meet with Lady Jacinthe at her hotel. So we get ourselves a new suit, looking pretty clean I might add, and then we make our way to the hotel. We arrive and there's a few familiar faces here as well, as it turns out that she wants to hold a tournament to see who the strongest trainer of the group is. And well, considering that I've already beaten everyone in this room, the answer's pretty simple, isn't it? During the presentation, we get notified of some wild rogue Mega Evolutions, so we have to leave early, and let's just say that Labane did not take that well. First up, I go to take on the Mega Frostlass, and I got pretty sloppy here, almost losing my Mega Charizard and almost dying as I was rushing through it. Thankfully, Scrafty can tag in and land some big super effective crunches to get the win. Next was the Mega Altaria, and I don't know if these were just getting harder or I was just getting complacent as I almost lost Adonis to this giant cloud. In the end, Slowbro can come in and clean up the mess, taking it out with some Ice Beams and Psychics. The last one was a Mega Venusaur, and this was Charizard's opportunity to get some love as he starts dealing massive damage to the overgrown Toad. But eventually he does get low on health, so Gyarados tags in and can finish off the job with some Ice Fangs and Bounces. Back to the hotel we go, and we find ourselves trapped in a purple zone. It turns out that Jacinta will not let us go unless we participate in the tournament, and to force us to come along is Labane, who gives us a pretty tough battle. She leads with a Noivern, and Slowbro can ice beam her dragon, followed up with a surf to get the KO, but we're left pretty low after that, so I instantly bring in Yoda. Tyrantrum is next in, but I have Yoga Mega Evolve and one-shot it with a Dazzling Gleam. Next is the Garchomp, but a Dazzling Gleam followed up with a Giga Drain can slay the dragon before it could even land an Iron Head. Dragalge is a big problem for Yoda, especially as it Mega Evolves, becoming even more powerful. Expecting a poison move, I bring in Adonis, and this thing Hydro Pumps me, almost taking him out. This time it goes for a Sludge Bomb, which Punk can take, but then we respond with an Ice Punch, but it uses Protect, so we don't even land the hit. Triton then comes in, taking a Dragon Pulse, and then we land a big Ice Fang before being Hydro Pumped. I follow it up with a huge bounce, bringing the Dragalge to its knees, and then end its life with one final Ice Fang. At the end of the fight, Rotom notifies us of our next match, and you guessed it, it's Jacinthe. So we grab our challenger's ticket and make our way back to the hotel where the tournament's being held. In the first round, we're matched up against Canari, who, quite frankly, I'm kind of over battling. Yoda can Mega Evolve and simply sweep through her team with ease, giving us an easy win. Next up is Ivor, and this is fairly simple as well, as I have Trident bounce on the Heracross, obliterating it to pieces, and then Yoda comes in, Mega Evolves, and then finishes off the rest of his team with Dazzling Gleams. Our last opponent before the showdown with Jacinthe is Corbo, but now that I know what his team is, this fight goes a lot smoother. Slowbro eliminates the Arbok with a Psychic and a Surf, then he brings in Gyarados, so Thor switches in and thunderbolts the sea monster to its grave. Roserade is next in, and it can still survive a Fire Blast from Charizard, which is kinda nuts in my opinion, but we follow it up with a Flamethrower and we burn the plant to a crisp. Last is his Scolipede, so I bring in Adonis, who can Mega Evolve into a physical wall, and we're just too tanky for the bug, and after a few hits land, we secure our spot in the final. We go face to face with the Jacinthe, but just before we can begin, Zygarde comes between us with the old guy L following him. It turns out that L is actually the main villain from Pokemon X and Y, Lissandre from 5 years ago. And let me tell you, you did not age well in 5 years, buddy. Anyway, Zygarde once again wants to test our strength, and this time Lissandre has collected 50% of his cells, meaning he's in a more powerful form. But that means absolutely nothing to me, as Yoda can Mega Evolve and 1v1 the Zygarde, defeating it for a second time. Okay, with all the distractions out of the way, the time has come to actually take on Jacinthe, and on a side note, she actually has one of my favourite themes in the game. She leads with a Carbink, which is kinda bulky, but Yoda's grass moves is too much for a Fairy Rock, and we can defeat it. More Wild comes in, but one Fire Blast from Charizard melts it into a puddle of liquid metal. Now it's Auroros, so Adonis switches in and smashes the revitalized fossil Pokemon with a quad effective Iron Head. Gardevoir is next, and it tries to set up a Calm Mind, but Adonis is having none of that and Iron Heads her to a death. Last is her ace Clefable, who Mega Evolves, growing wings flying around, so to even the odds, Adonis Mega Evolves and is almost taken out with a mystical fire from Clefable, but we hang on and drop some rocks in the fairy, giving us a crushing victory over Jacinthe. And with that, we move all the way to B rank, and we're just one battle away from rank A. With only one more ranked match left, I bet you can all guess what needs to be done. That's right, more Rogue Mega Evolutions. This time we have some heavy hitters like Dragonite, Tyranitar, and, well, Starmie as well, I guess. We start off with a Rogue Mega Dragonite, and although my Pokemon are easy to keep safe, as I call them back during his super moves, I did find myself dodging more than usual in this fight. At one point it starts doing massive Hyper Beams, and I'm pretty sure you can't dodge that, as it leaves you on one hit away from being KO'd. This fight was probably one of the longest ones for me, but we get there in the end, with Florges finishing it off with a Moonblast. Next up is a Mega Tyranitar, and we start off strong, as Yoda can comfortably get him down to about half his HP, while remaining relatively healthy himself. Then from out of nowhere, he goes for a Sand Tomb, and Yoda's health starts draining while I try to escape at the same time. I manage to get to safety and pull Yoda back, while this Godzilla monster just continues to chase me down across the screen. Yoda then takes another big hit, and I decide to stop using him for this fight. From here, I just cycle through the rest of my team and chip away at the monster before Skarmory can finish it off with a Steel Wing, securing another win. Our last Rogue Mega is against Starmie, and as we arrive at the rooftop, the Rush Syndicate is there, and Philippe wants to fight us before we can take on the Starfish. Normally we'd have time to prepare, but this time we go straight into the battle, and I don't have any fire types as I had my team prepared for a Starmie fight. Yoda's in the lead, and after a few hits, he can eliminate the Steelix from the battle. Scissor is bad news for Yoda, so in comes Trident, who goes for a bounce and then a waterfall, but it can't quite get the job done and is getting too low to stay in. So Punk enters the fray and Brick Breaks the Scissor straight back to Felipe. Now he brings in his Aggron, and 2 Brick Breaks from Punk can send the hunk of junk to the scrapyard. Although now he's pretty low to stay in himself. Expecting Skarmory, I bring in Thor, and this stupid bird uses a Protect right before I could drop a Thunderbolt. We take 2 huge hits back to back, leaving us dangerously low, but we just about manage to pull off a Thunderbolt in time to fry his final Pokemon, defeating him. Our last Mega Rogue Pokemon is Starmie, and well, this one was surprisingly easy. Yoda can single-handedly deal with everything it throws at us, and it did not have much HP, so it was over pretty quickly. I'm not quite sure how this was in the last 3, to be honest. With all the Rogue Megas defeated, all that's left to do is to climb to rank A, and conveniently, our Rotom phone lets us know that our next opponent is Grisham, although his true identity is still a mystery. To work out who this guy is, we reach out to Detective Emma, and she agrees to help us, but only if we beat her in a battle, of course. This fight was reasonably straightforward, thankfully, but she did have a Mega Malamar, which was pretty cool to see, but even better to kill with my Mega Aggron. After defeating Emma, she tells us to speak with Mabel, as she'll have the answer we're looking for, so we do just that, and we ask her about Grisham. She then reveals that she was a part of Team Flare 5 years ago, but she has cut ties with them now. However, Grisham is still associated with them, and we can find him at the coffee cart, so with that information, we make our way over there. We speak to him and it reveals that he is in fact Grisham and the boss of Team Flare. He wants to meet up with us at Novu Cafe, so I agree to meet him there. I arrive at the cafe, and although Grisham is calm and composed, the girl with him, Giselle, is anything but that and wants to end me with a battle. She leaves with a Talonflame, but a waterfall followed by an Ice Fang is enough to finish off the bird. Camerupt comes in next, although it does annoyingly protect the incoming waterfall. However, we just take a few hits from it, and then we end its life with our second waterfall attempt. Aerodactyl is next in, so Slowbro can surf the prehistoric Pokemon, and then follow it up with an Ice Beam, which gets the job done. From out of nowhere, she brings in a Metagross, and although I switch in Charizard, and he can deal some big damage to this thing, we are too low to stay in, so I let Adonis finish off the job with a few hits. Last is a Pyroar, who does get a Mega Evolution, but this doesn't worry Punk at all, as we can Rock Slide and Brick Break the Fiery Lion, and thus defeating Giselle. They also become rather friendly after this battle, even offering me a coffee. We head inside the cafe, and if you've ever played X or Y before, you know that this leads to a secret base underground. So they want me to go down there to find out the truth about AZ and his antics back in the past, and I agree to explore. We make our way down, and Lysandre also makes an appearance with Zygarde. It is here that we learn the truth about AZ and Lysandre, but to make things easier to understand, I'll give you a quick recap of the events. So 3,000 years ago, there was a massive war, and AZ's Floette was in the front lines and unfortunately dies in that war. AZ was obviously not happy about this, and he managed to make a device that could revive the Floette, which was successful, but at the cost of multiple other Pokemon's lives. Still angry at the world, however, AZ decides to modify his device that brought Floette back to life and then makes it into an ultimate weapon, which he then uses to end the war, but at the cost of countless lives. Then Floette figured out that he had to sacrifice other Pokemon's lives to revive her, and she wasn't happy about this and decided to leave AZ. After some time, AZ was approached to create another device called Ange, which could share internal life located in the Prism Tower. Fast forward, and about 5 years ago, Lysandre took control of the ultimate weapon and wanted to cull the population of humans, but thanks to the events of Pokemon X and Y, he failed to do that. Lysandre has now lost all his memories, and when the Team Flare base was self-destructing, he was saved by the Zygarde, and that's why he follows him everywhere. We head back to the hotel, and AZ confesses everything to us, but he also believes that because of the ultimate weapon being activated 5 years ago, it has caused Ange, the device in Prism Tower, to leak energy, which is attracting Pokemon into the city, causing rogue Mega Evolutions. And the only way to stop this is by having the strongest Mega Evolution user use the Floette to control the Prism Tower. Oh, and basically Grisham wants to do the same thing, but wants us to give him the Floette, as he believes he's the chosen one to do so. Come on buddy, I'm the main character in this game, not you. Hopefully this makes sense, because now I'm ready to take on Grisham for the Rank A promotional fight. I lead with Yoda, and we can one-shot his Pangoro with a single dazzling gleam. Now it's Pyro, so in comes Gyarados, who is just short from KOing the line with a single waterfall, and then panicking, I hit the Mega Evolve button by mistake, Mega Evolving a Pokemon with half his HP, but I stay focused, and I land an Ice Fang to kill the Pyro. Tyranitar comes in and survives a waterfall, only to hit us with a massive Stone Edge, leaving us on just 1 HP. We do manage to hit the T-Tar with one more Ice Fang to end its life. Salamence in next, and we can outspeed the dragon and hit it with a quite effective Ice Fang, taking it out of the fight. Malamar is next in, and I know Adonis matches up well against it, although we are put to sleep, making it a much closer fight than it should have been. However, we get there in the end. Last is his Charizard, who evolves into a Charizard X, so I bring in Slowbro, and we try to beat it 1v1, but ultimately the Charizard was just too strong and sends our Slowbro to the afterlife. Punk comes in to get some revenge, and a Rock Slide follow up with a Brick Break does just that, slaying his Charizard and giving us the victory. Then he gives us our promotion, and finally ladies and gentlemen, we are promoted to Rank A. We go to sleep and then we're waken up by an explosion. We head outside to the rooftop, and the Prism Tower has reached its limit, and we need to stop it before things get out of control. So now it's time to determine who the strongest Mega Evolution user is, and Tory wants one last battle, and boy, this match was nasty. Yoda starts a fight, and Meowstic was holding its own against it, but eventually we come out on top and we get the KO. Now it's Goodra, so I bring in Punk quickly, only for him to get hit with a Toxic and a Draco Meteor while getting off a Brick Break before retreating him from the battle and tagging in Trident. From here we can hit the Goodra for massive damage with a Dragon Rush, and then a Waterfall, sending the slimy dragon to its grave. Overload then drops in, so I switch in Charizard to Fire Blast as Slab of Ice into a puddle, only to get one-shotted by a Stone Edge. That's not good. Adonis then makes his way in, and these two defensive Goliaths trade blows one after another, but it is Aggron who comes out on top, delivering the final hit with an Iron Head. Feraligatr then comes in, so I bring in Yoda, but before we can finish off the Alligator, he gets frozen solid from an Ice Fang. Having no choice, I bring him back, and Trident makes a return and is no longer playing around as I Mega Evolve him and takes out the Feraligatr. Her next Pokemon is Manectric, which is a horrible matchup, so I bring in Florges, and she holds her own well, staying healthy with Wishes and eventually defeating the Manectric, which just leaves her Emboar. She Mega Evolves her Emboar, and she must have read my mind as I switch in Gyarados as she goes for a Thunder Punch. Like, what the heck is going on here? So I stay in, trying to take out the pig with a Stab Waterfall, but we fall short and get KO'd from the Flare Blitz. I bring Florges back in, but a Moonblast doesn't get the kill, and we lose another Pokemon to a stupid pig. Adonis has seen enough, coming in and ends the battle once and for all with a Bulldoze, and although we won the battle, we lost a lot of Pokemon here. To make things even worse, Tawny just decides that she wants to do it anyway and that the battle was for nothing. So she goes into the control room and things start to calm down. So job done, right? Wrong. Angie's Floette takes over the tower and starts sprouting vines everywhere and Mega Evolving random Pokemon throughout the city. Zygarde also makes an appearance and wants me to join him at the rooftop to face this monstrosity. As we make our way to meet up with the Zygarde, Ivor and his sister Gwynn help us battle some wild Mega Rogues, who by the way attack the player, but they're no match for us and we can end them. I actually never tried catching these guys, and now I'm wondering if that was even an option. After the fight, more Mega Evolved Pokemon come along, and for some reason we leave Gwynn alone to take care of them. Yeah, I don't like your chances here. But anyway, I've got to go. Ivor and his Mega Phalanx then knocks down some rubble to make a bridge for me to come across, and also somehow Gwynn survived those other Mega Pokemon. Next we meet up with Canari and her grandpa, and there are some more Megas that need to be tamed, so we work together and we take out both the Mega Steelix and the Mega Blastoise fairly comfortably. As we cross the scaffold, more Mega Pokemon attack, but I'm safe on the other side now, so I'll see you guys later. Continuing along, we come across Libane, and we're ambushed by Mega Aggron and Salamence, and to be fair, this one was a bit more challenging, but by rotating through my team, we clear through them. Once again, more Megas arrive, but my job here is done, and I leave them to fend for themselves. Corbo is the next person we meet up with, and this time we have a showdown with a Mega Gardevoir and a Mega Gallade. Although this was the coolest combination so far, it was also the easiest one to deal with in my opinion. But things get even better as I need to get to the roof and there's no ladder, so the friendly guys in the Rust Syndicate make a human ladder for me to climb on, which probably shouldn't work, but it does. Giselle and Grisham are the last two people that we meet up with, and we have a trio of mega Pokemon to deal with. This fight was somewhat intense, but we whittled them down one by one, while also rotating between my Pokemon, eventually securing the kill on all 3 wild megas. And after that fight, a bunch of mega pincers show up, which honestly, for these guys should be light work, considering they use 5 Pokemon, so I'll leave them to you guys. Finally, we reach the Zygarde, and we follow him until we approach close enough to the Prism Tower. Lissandre also tags along and gives Zygarde 99 of the cells he has, and then the random cell that I have with me also joins in, revealing his true form, which is kinda awesome, not gonna lie. Zygarde then takes us to the tower to take on Angie's Floette in a final battle for the ages. And it was at this point I realised how broken Meganium is in this fight. I simply hide behind the rubble here while Yoda cycles through between Leaf Blade, Dazzling Gleam, Giga Drain and Synthesis. We just keep recovering all our HP while dealing damage, and I was always keeping my distance. After taking them both out, Zygarde then flies to the sky and delivers a super move, dealing massive damage to Angie's Floette. The Floette attacks back, but Zygarde keeps us safe as long as we're within the green circle. And well, that was pretty much the fight. We simply stay behind the rubble, Yoda deals damage while healing himself, and then Zygarde flies up and delivers his super move to the Floette. The third time Zygarde goes up, he goes for an epic move called Core Enforcer, which deals the final blow, putting an end to its rampage once and for all. Well, that's what I thought anyway. From out of nowhere, the ultimate weapon activates and it's about to blow up the entire city. So I grabbed the pedal that Zygarde gave me earlier, and it turns out that this thing is a Mega Stone, so you better believe that we used it. And then Mega Zygarde shoots a massive beam from its cannon that intercepts a Light of Ruin attack, cancelling each other out and thus saving the city from total destruction. Tawny then makes it out safely with AZ's Floette, and then we get our happy ending after all. The credits roll, and then we later find out that AZ has passed away, which does make sense as he is over 3,000 years old. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.